motivation, some meditation, some inspiration. If it's not one of three, I don't want it. So we're going to start working on our challenges, getting down with our mentality, getting to the place where we're focusing, where we're giving ourselves the ability to use our challenges to allow us to use our ability to bypass our emotions, to start to become honest with ourselves, getting to the place every day where we're facing off against those kinds of challenges. And so what are those challenges that you're facing off against today? Connect with a network, motivation, meditation, inspiration.yoga, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. So today we're going to go ahead and start talking about the importance of putting yourself first, putting yourself in a place where you're utilizing the gifts that you have, utilizing the honesty inside of yourself so that the reflection can radiate outwards. So a lot of us have a lot of challenges in our day. We have challenges in the way in which we face off against things. We have challenges in the way in which we express ourselves. So how do you start to utilize your challenges? How do you start putting yourself in a place where your challenges no longer have the ability to stop you? And what does it take for you to start to utilize them? How do you start utilizing your challenges on a daily? Like where do you start to focus, and what is it that you focus on? A lot of us ask ourselves these types of questions on a daily basis, and it's when we're in a place where other people are able to give you your opinion that you start to find yourself. It's when you sit down with you and you start to focus through your challenges that you realize that there is a foundation in focus. There's a foundation within yourself. See, a lot of people get stuck on the emotion. They get stuck on the page where they feel like it's somebody else's fault. Like, when is it our own challenges? When does it become our own ability to go within? When do we give ourselves that kind of place where we utilize that kind of mentality? And I started to see that a lot when I was out driving. I would see people going through challenges. I would see them going through parts inside of themselves where they were asking other people for advice instead of looking inside. And so, how long have you been on the face of the planet? How long have you had the ability to focus and use your level of focus? It's when you're with that kind of utilization of your honesty, it's when you're focusing to overcome your challenges that your challenges start showing up in your face. And so each day that we have challenges, that we think of them in a positive way, we put them into a positive mentality, we put them into a positive ability, the reflection starts to radiate outwards. So what are some of the tools that you could use? What are some of the things that you could put in front of yourself that when you start to see these types of things, you start to see these types of challenges, you start to overcome them with your mentality? And what is it that your mentality can do for you? How do you utilize your mentality in such a way that the ability inside of yourself starts to come out? And so each of us who has challenges, when we start working on our challenges, when we start truly putting ourselves in front of our challenges, we find that eventually we want to start building a pattern that allows us to start to grow. We want to allow those people that will help us to grow to come to be a part of our lives. We want to allow ourselves to fill those people with positivity in our lives, and we want to allow the negativity to leave our lives. And see, we've been trained to allow negativity to become a part of our lives, that it's just going to happen, that it's just the way it is. And that's not the way it is. If you start to focus towards positivity, you can notice the little things around you become positive. The little challenges that you face off against, you can make it through. And so where are your challenges? What are they? And how do you start to face off against them? How do you start to identify your challenges? How do you start to give yourself the ability, if you're getting your butt kicked at work, or you're in a position where you're not enjoying it, how can you start to turn it to a joy? How can you start to recognize that you can pass that time, that the ability inside of yourself can overcome those kinds of challenges? And so are we able to give ourselves the ability to see the blessings even in the challenges? it could always be worse. It could always not be as good as it is. But the thing is that when we embrace our challenges, when we embrace our ability inside of ourselves, we sit down and we truly get down to focus, that the results start coming out, the reflection starts coming out, that your mentality is what matters, the ability inside of yourself, that your mind is beautiful just the way it is. And see, a lot of people, they don't want to see it that way. They don't want to see themselves as beautiful for who they are. But all of us are. The minute that you're injured or something happens to you, and that, it's in that place that you start to see that people start to care about you. They start to see you for you. It's when you have nothing less and nothing more than yourself. It's when you're kicked to the ground. It's when you feel like you're in darkness and you start to pick yourself up for you, that the level of focus inside of oneself starts to radiate. And so, can we acknowledge that? Can we put ourselves in a place where we could become that kind of a tool? Can we put ourselves in that kind of a place where we utilize that kind of mentality, where we utilize that kind of ability, where what we have inside is greater than the challenges that we have going on around us? And how can we start to get there to where what we're writing down is becoming a reality, where what we're writing down is becoming manifested, where what we're utilizing is our mentalities? See, they teach this in school. They teach you that if you want to achieve something, work at it. If you want to get through this college degree, or you want to get to this place, or you want this degree in your life. But when do they teach you to do that for your own life? When do they teach you to be that inside of yourself? When do they teach you to pick yourself up? And that's what this mentality is about. It's about asking yourself the question, am I focused? Am I putting in front of myself the challenges that I can work on? Am I putting in front of myself the ability inside to overcome them? Am I focused to that point where I'm utilizing it at that level where simplicity becomes my friend? The universe can become your friend. It can work for you. You got to let it work for you. And a lot of people don't let that happen. They don't allow that process. They don't allow that page. They don't allow that mentality to be a part of their lives. And that's what it's about. I realize, when I heard people saying, I just can't be motivated, I recognize that what they are saying is, I just can't focus. I can't put myself in a place where I focus to the level where the results are just a reflection, where the results are just an ability inside of oneself, where the results are inside of the mentality. And so, how do we start to focus to that level? How do we start to train ourselves to have that kind of mentality? How do we put ourselves in a place where we are no longer being taken advantage of in our life, but where we're controlling our life, where we're walking in our day, we're walking in our awareness, we're waking up for a reason. We're waking up for a purpose. We have a path, we have a journey. And see, when you start to focus, you're going to want to start to use the universe. You're going to want to start to allow the universe to work through you. You're going to want to start to allow the challenges and the things that you go through to be there for you. See, focusing to that point is the mentality that I'm talking about. Focusing to the point where you think outside of the box, where you utilize your challenges, where when you're focusing on your positivity and other people aren't seeing it that way, you're continuously focusing to overcome your challenges. And it's not a single day thing, it's an everyday thing. It's in every part of it's a part of your being, it's a part of your focus, it's a part of your mentality. And so where do you go to find that kind of place? Do you have the ability to go outwards? Do you have the ability to go inwards? Some people find that in a gym. Some people find that in a profession. Some people find that in their homes. And so when do we start to utilize those universal gifts? When do we start to get to the page where what we have going on inside is greater than what's going on the outside? That we start to know ourselves, that we start to get to be honest with ourselves, that we focus to the point where it isn't about somebody else, that what's going on inside of you. What challenges are you facing off against? What are the things that you're going through? What are the questions that you ask yourself daily? How do you overcome your challenges? Where do you go to overcome your challenges? What types of places do you use to clear your mind? See, a lot of people don't ask those types of questions, but they want those kinds of results. They only come from within you. They only come from your mentality. They only come from your ability to be who you are. And so how do you start building up that kind of place? How do you start building up that kind of discipline? How do you start building up that kind of mentality? See, each of us have challenges. Each of us have things that we can work through. Each of us have things that we can make it through. When do we ask ourselves that type of question? To be who we are, to manifest the being to that level where we're using our challenges and we're becoming friends with our lives. See, each of us have the ability to do so. Each of us have the ability to start to feel peace, to not be upset at the world, to go inwards, to overcome their challenges, to not allow the world to crush them. But when do you? When is it your turn? When is it your place? That's what I built a community on. I built a community on allowing ourselves to bypass our challenges, allowing ourselves to liberate our minds, allowing ourselves to free our mentality, to become who we are on the inside and allow the focus to radiate outwards. And so are we focusing to that level where we're utilizing what's going on inside of ourselves, or are we allowing ourselves to be crushed? So now I'm going to start talking about some of the ways that you can start to study yourself. You can start to get to the ability to use what you have. So for the ability to use your challenges to your advantage, the ability to overcome your emotions, to ability to become who you truly are, the ability to speak to that person inside who wants to say something that just doesn't. When you focus into the positivity, when you focus into the ability to overcome your challenges, when you put yourself in a place where you have what it takes inside of you, the universe starts to utilize you. It starts to utilize your ability. It starts to utilize your level of focus. And you see, when you're focused, the things that aren't meant for you have the ability to move out of their way. And they do on their own. So if you start seeking out positivity, if you start writing the things down and you start to face off against your own challenges, then the ability to embrace your challenges, the ability for those challenges to become overcome, the ability for them to no longer be ignored, but to be faced off against, to allow you to become the kind of professional inside of yourself that you are. The professional mentality, the professional ability, the professional within oneself, the professional who focuses to the point where they go to the place inside of themselves and they know that they can overcome their challenges. What are your challenges? What are the things that when you do these things on a daily basis, they bring you closer to yourself? What are they? And how do you use them? How do you utilize them? How do you put yourself in a place where you're so focused that your reflection is not a surprise in the results, right? We look at people who work their butt off. I mean, they put themselves in a place sometimes working 100+ hours a week. And then when they look back at the receipts, they're not surprised in the results. See, that's the point there, is to not be surprised in the results, that you're working so hard at it that you're undeniably a reflection, that you're undeniably overcoming your challenges, that you're undeniably becoming who you are on the inside. And it's just by putting your head down and putting yourself to work on the things that you believe in, the things that you want to become, the things that you want to work through. And as we focus to that level where we're willing to get to the challenges that we face off against, as we're willing to work through our own challenges and to focus to the point where we're utilizing them, where we're focusing through them, where we have the ability inside of ourselves to truly be who we are. See, that's a place within you. That's a place within me. It's when we're asking ourselves the questions, why am I doing this? What is it that I'm doing today? What is it that I could do better to be who I am on the inside? And some of us might be facing off against things and patterns and habits. How do we put ourselves in a place where we start to work on them? How do we start to put ourselves in a place where we start to utilize them, where what we have going on, we start to see the reflection radiate outwards? And so I want to give a little bit of recognition to those people that are on my WordPress. And, you guys can leave comments. I will read your comments as I'm going through here. But I just want to give a little bit of recognition to the 4 people who watched my videos in Germany, and the 2 people in the United States, and the 1 person in Pakistan. So I hear you guys across the world. I hear you. I see you. I know that you guys exist. I know that you guys watch these videos, and I see you on a daily basis. You're welcome to watch them. They're here for you. They're here to uplift you. You're welcome to connect with me. You're welcome to start getting your mentalities in place and start to bring challenges and to start to see how to overcome those kind of challenges within yourself. See, each of us has challenges, and it's being aware of how to overcome them that is a beautiful thing. It's when you're not allowing fear to stop you from overcoming your challenges. And each of us that does that for ourselves, that gives ourselves that place where we actually overcome our challenges. Each challenge that you face off against is there for your uplifting. They're there for your being. They're there to allow you to see who you are inside. And see, it's not going to stop you to be who you truly are. It's not going to stop you to sit down and spend a little bit of time on yourself. And a lot of people they neglect that part of themselves until the medical results come back in. They neglect that part of themselves until they're on their last pages. And it's when you recognize that before your last page, before your last challenge, it's when you recognize it today. It's when you start today to start to hear these kind of messages. It's when you start today to focus to that point where you're utilizing what you have inside of yourself. It's when you start today to be who you are inside and to focus towards the manifestation of the being that you want to be. And so, are we focused on that today? Are we asking ourselves those type of questions? Are we becoming a relationship with the Most High at that level where other people are seeing us as that? We have seen those people who call themselves something and then they're not that. When do you just be yourself? When do you work through your challenges, and when do you hammer through them in such a way that you have the ability to be who you are? See, that's what I'm talking about, is your level of focus. I'm talking about your level of foundation. I'm talking about when you get the reports back, you're not surprised in the results. When you're so focused that when everything is falling apart around you, you're still being held together. When you're so focused to the point where your challenges become your friends. When you're so focused to the point where your ability inside has a reflection and you're focused to that point where you're utilizing what is going on. And that it is that you are beautiful, that you are on a journey, that you started a journey, that you started a path, that the people that joined your life, that joined your pace, are there along your journey, that you always started your own journey, that you were a blessing before, and you always have been a blessing. So if you're facing off against a breakup, if you're facing off against a loss of position, isn't it interesting? Loss of position. Reposition yourself in your mentality. Reposition yourself in your ability. Reposition yourself within who you are, and allow that person to radiate light outwards. Allow that person to build you up. Allow that person to give yourself that ability inside to be who you are. See, focusing to that level where we use what we have, inside of ourselves, where our blessings start to come out of us, come from within you. It's when you start to allow that part of yourself to become free, when the fears no longer have the ability to stop you, when the focus inside starts to work its way outwards, when the outside has no ability to crush you any longer, and the blessing that you are in the universe starts to radiate, when the honesty inside of yourself starts to come out, when the focus inside of you starts to work, when you're using your challenges and they're starting to work for you, they're starting to work with you. So how do we focus to that level where we're using it at that level? We can take a look at when you were in school, or those people that went to school. Did you sit down? Did you write stuff down? Did you put it in front of yourself? Did you have to study? Did you have to learn? And so a lot of people have stopped the study skills of learning from themselves. They've stopped the ability to start to get the A on the test that they test themselves with. They want somebody else to test them. When do we start to get the A's with the test that we go through? When do we start to get the positivity coming from within ourselves? When does that part of yourself start to happen? And see, I ask myself that question in every profession, every mentality, every ability. When does it become a result? When does it become a reflection of your mentality? See, a lot of us stop ourselves before we have the ability to have that kind of mentality, because we're not willing to sit and write stuff down. We're not willing to create things like vision boards. We're not willing to put ourselves in a place where what we're facing off against, we're able to overcome. And at a certain page of focus, it ends up becoming the result. It ends up becoming the ability inside of yourself to use those challenges, to use that level of manifestation, that kind of vibration, that kind of manifestation comes from within your mentality. See, if you want to pass in school, if you want to pass those kind of tests, you got to study. You got to put it down on paper. You got to be ready to take notes. So take notes in your life. Take notes in your challenges. Take notes in the things within you. Take notes within the ability inside of yourself to study not just yourself, but the people around you as well, the reflections, the results, so that you're not surprised in the results, so that you're not surprised in the ability inside of yourself, that you can create the world that you want to create, that the things that you want to do can become possible, that the person that you want to be from within you can be a tool within the universe. And when you do that, when you give yourself that kind of place, that kind of space, that kind of degree, other people are going to start to test you. They're going to start to ask you, are you positive? Are you absolutely positive? When the results come back, I remember them doing a DNA test. There was this DNA test that they did on, it was just a picture, and it said, the results came back. My DNA is from God. Isn't your DNA from God? Isn't your DNA from within your being? Isn't your DNA a blessing on the face of the planet? Aren't you related to the Most High? Doesn't that say that you have a purpose, that you have a path, that you have a journey in itself? What a blessing we are. What a blessing it is when we have challenges, when we get dropped, when we get kicked to the ground, when what we're using and we're focusing through and we're putting our mind to give us the ability to overcome it, when we're focused to that level where we're using what we have inside of ourselves. Are we focusing to that point where we have the ability inside of ourselves to overcome our challenges? See, I see those types of things as blessings. See, I see the times that I slept in the van as the ability that I overcame that. That I had a companion that wasn't honest to me and allowing me to be myself is the ability for that person to move out of the way so that the things that are meant for me have the ability to move in. See, that's the type of mentality this channel is about. It's about getting to that part of yourself where your challenges become embraced, where you have the ability to overcome them, where focus within becomes a reflection outwards, where what we focus through, what challenges we go through, we have the ability to overcome. Because each challenge that you work on, each thing that you put your mind to, each thing that you work through daily, that you manifest within your being, that you focus through to the point where other people see the results, is a part of the reason why I'm alive. And I want to share that with you. I want you to see that if you are so focused on your path, if you are so focused on your journey, that your challenges no longer stop you, that you know inside of yourself that you are a blessing, that you know inside of yourself that you can do this, that you can become this, that you can manifest this. You're welcome to leave a comment. You're welcome to leave a word of encouragement for other people of the challenges that you have been through. And I know that I see these people on all networks connecting. I see them on a daily, and sometimes it might not be at the exact moment of this video. It might be a week from now, a month from now. But these people, they do see these videos. They watch these videos on a daily. And I see them because inside of the mentality, I see that person as a person who was inside of my car was saying, today's the day I needed to hear this message. That was what this message is for. It's for you. It's for you to allow yourself to no longer need to compare yourself to other people. It's for you to feel the freedom inside of yourself that your mentality can become centered, that your journey is worth it, that your path is worth it, that your purpose is worth it. And so, are we giving ourselves the ability to see that level inside of ourselves? Are we giving ourselves the ability to put ourselves in a place where we're utilizing that? And so how do we start to see at that level where we see the light? As it's written, light was divided from darkness. See, we are lights in this universe. We have a purpose of being yourself. To be who you are inside is a blessing. Each day I do these videos pretty much on a regular basis. I've been doing this for over a year. And when I first started, I wanted to help those people going through challenges. And I still, every day, that's what I do this for. I do this for you. I do this for the person inside of you. I see these energies that flow within us and around us. And I see the vibrations that we bring to this earth, that we have the ability inside of ourselves to utilize it, that we can focus through it. And so, are we focusing to that point where we're using these kind of challenges to overcome? Are we focusing to the point where we have that kind of manifestation where the being inside starts to radiate light outwards? And so focus to that point where your challenges become your friends, where you accept your ability to be who you are. Focus to that point where we have that ability inside of ourselves to bypass those challenges. So let's start looking at how we can use that kind of foundation. I mean, we have a foundation created since your birth to learn. We have the ability to learn, and as we're being molded, as we're being brought together, as our path is starting to be built, as we're learning how to crawl and walk and swim, we forget that we're here to learn. We forget that we're here to grow. We're here to to be who we are on the inside.